This is something that everybody should be aware of. Dangerous flesh-eating microbes pose growing threat along the U.S. coast. Earth's atmosphere and oceans are heating up and beyond any previous point in human history, triggering a cascade of changes around the planet that our species is racing to manage. Let's remember what happened in the Gulf of Mexico with the BP spill. There was a company that introduced a crude oil eating synthetic microbe that was manufactured, and that also started eating the flesh of humans. When they went swimming in there, that was terrible, and they made it so that microbe could not, that synthesized microbe, man-made microbe, could not be killed by antibiotics. Unfortunately, why did they do that? But going back to this, due to the anthropogenic climate change, they said, our greenhouse gas emissions are returning to haunt us in various ways, including supercharged hurricanes, heat waves, and other big weather events that affect large numbers of people at once. But not all consequences of climate change are so immediately noticeable. According to a new study by an international team of researchers, one lesser known yet noteworthy effect of warmer seas is the spread of flesh-eating bacteria in coastal waters, where they can dangerously sicken humans even in nice weather. Specifically, the study points to Vibrio vulnificus, a species notorious for infecting humans. It can also do so when someone eats raw or uncooked or undercooked seafood, especially oysters, but is also capable of life-threatening necrotizing fasciitis when exposed to an open wound. Long known from coastal waters in the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic coasts of Georgia and Florida, long known, but it doesn't say here how long they've known this. The V. vulnificus seems to pose a growing threat in those areas, while also colonizing new habitats farther north, the study authors report, so spreading to the north and the eastern coast. Over a 30-year span, the number of V. vulnificus infections along the U.S. East Coast rose from 10 to 80 per year, the study found. They may be on track to reach 200 per year by 2011. So all of you there around Florida, the Carolinas, be careful. You can't really take the risk of swimming in the ocean water. Now, cases also appear farther north every year, the authors add. Once rare north of Georgia on the U.S. Atlantic coast, the bacteria now can be found as far north as Philadelphia. Philadelphia doesn't have a coast. Well, it has the ocean. Okay, it does have the rivers that open to the ocean. Now, V. vulnificus infections could begin to plague New York, as we know, the Jones Beach area, the Hamptons, New York within a few decades. The researchers predict under medium to high scenarios of future emissions and warming that may occur in every eastern U.S. state by 2080s. I would venture to say it's going to be sooner than that. Now, their study is the first to map how the sites of V. vulnificus infections along the U.S. coast have changed over time, the researchers say, and the first to examine how climate change might continue to affect its spread in the future. I'd like to know if this also affects the fish. It affects the shellfish, as we said. What about regular fish? Obviously, we have to. I don't know if we cook it enough, if it's going to be enough to kill this thing. Now, while the overall number of U.S. infections remains fairly low, the stakes are high. About 1 in 5 people with a wound infected by V. vulnificus will die, according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, sometimes within a day or two of becoming ill. That's how fast it goes. They can't die. I wonder why they can't kill it off. They have the medicine or antibiotics. So many survivors still require intensive care or limb amputation, the CDC notes. Led by Elizabeth Archer, a geoscientist at the University of East Anglia in the UK, the study highlights what its authors describe as a growing but underappreciated threat to public health driven by climate change. Greenhouse gas emissions from human activity are changing our climate, and the impacts may be especially acute in the world's coastlines, which provide a major boundary between natural ecosystems and human populations and are an important source of human disease, Archer said. We show that by the end of the 21st century, V. volnificus infections will extend further northward, but how far north will depend upon the degree of further warming and therefore on our future greenhouse gas emissions, she says. Rising temperatures are already assisting the speed of many pathogenic diseases, including mosquito-borne diseases, for example, and some pathogenic fungi that seem to be what's happening with V. volnificus as coastal waters grow warmer. Archer and her colleagues used data from the CDC to map out where people caught V. volnificus infections on the eastern U.S. coast, allowing them to create a map showing the bacteria's northward spread over the past 30 years. To map out future prevalence, researchers used temperature observations and climate models to predict how that spread might continue under various warming scenarios. Knowing where cases are likely to occur in the future should help health services plan for the future, says co-author Ian Lake, professor of environmental science at UEA. Authorities might develop warming systems that can issue real-time alerts about Vibrio levels, the researchers say, and raise awareness among high-risk groups. The study was published in the Scientific Reports, and this is on Science Alert by Russell McLendon. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.